You are now tuned in.
And you are not tuned into My Skin is My Sin presents another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio. And tonight we got a nice guest coming into the building. King Randall the first.
Yes.
All right, King Randall in the
What's going on,
building.
boss?
A black conservative.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man? How's your family?
I mean, all is well, doing excellent. Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. How's life?
Life is well, doing just fine. Making some moves with my boys in the program, so all is well.
All right, let's talk about that right quick.
Yes, sir.
Let's jump off into it. What's the program? What's the name
Uh,
of it, and what you doing with it?
Absolutely. Well, I'm King Randall. I just turned 22 years old. I'm the founder of the X for Boys program in Albany, Georgia. We teach boys ages 11 to 17 how to work on cars, like doing basic automotive repairs such as oil changes, brake repair, changing water pumps, etc. And we also do basic home repair like changing ceiling fans and light fixtures, doing flooring, sheetrock, etc. The boys also do firearms training as well as welding and other things like that. We also teach the boys how to swim because we have an issue with that in our community with not knowing how to swim. So I teach our boys how to swim as well. Right now, in the process of opening the Life Preparatory School for boys in Albany, Georgia, it'd be an all boys boarding school, and that's kind of just the extra boys in one little bubble, kind of everything put together.
You gonna actually open it though, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I ain't gonna say no names.
Good, yeah.
Okay, so and then you went viral at some point, right?
Yes, back in March.
How did that happen? What happened?
Well, I did an interview with Roland Martin back in early March in regards to voter suppression. And I was explaining to Mr. Roland on the show that, voting wasn't my fight. I believe we should be doing for self in our communities. And, voting can be a way to help, but it's not going to be the be all end all, as they like to package it. Like if we vote and everything is just going to change overnight, we have to do for selves in ourselves in our communities. So, I told him, that I purchased a school with my boys, here, in Albany, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And, he didn't, I guess he didn't like research me before I came on the show because he didn't really know who I was and didn't know the actual work that I do, that I have been doing for the past 3 years. And after I got off the show, maybe 2 weeks later, Dr. Boyce Watkins got a hold to the video and he did a podcast in the middle of the night. And I woke up the next morning and my social media exploded. So it started with Dr. Boyce, and people took this one clip from the interview where I talked about purchasing the school when he was asking about doing for self and sent it everywhere. I mean, people saw it from all over the world. So many celebrities reached out, etc. Rihanna reached out, John Cena. I mean, so many people reached out, in regards to us opening our school. So it was such a beautiful thing to see so many people, supporting what we were doing. Yeah, that's kind of how I went viral back in March.
Okay, not to be petty or silly, but Rihanna called you, bro.
Nah, she didn't call, but we correspond via text message, but we do speak pretty often.
That's pretty dope, though. That's Rihanna. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, she wants to come visit the school, so we're prepping now for her to be able to come.
And yo, man, I wasn't gonna say anything, but since you brought his name up, man, I seen the interview, man, and I think that interview was a classic example of why old niggas like me can't talk to young niggas like you. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. And some people gonna hate my language, then go somewhere else. I don't care. But he was coming at you from a standpoint of not how can I help or offer, but where can I catch you slipping?
Right.
And that's unfortunate. Like I could see some of the. I looked over some of your interviews. Like white folks love you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem for black folks.
Yep, and I think the issue for me is we've taken blackness and made it only being oppositional to white people, and I'm just like, you can still have a pro-black movement, and white people like what you're doing. Like I literally been working with black children for the past 3 years in the program. I've been explaining do for self, pro Malcolm X, pro all that. I support the Nation of Islam, etc. But I tell black people who call themselves don't like me because white people support. I'm just like, well, what you want me to do? Make a public service announcement and say, hey, white people, you're not allowed to like us, helping our community. I mean, I'm just like, well, you shouldn't want them to support. People always talking about reparations, etc. I'm like, well, if the white people are supporting and donating, look at it as reparations. I'm like, they should want to support and donate to programs that are helping our
But
youth.
see that's it right there. And I think that it's not necessarily for me anyway. It's you're not making things situational. Like
Right,
certain conversations shouldn't be had with white folks.
right, exactly. Hmm.
But I see them using some of what you're saying as a tool, and I get that you need the resources. I get that,
Hmm.
but that's where people, black folks, like, okay, yeah, okay, nah, you get what I'm saying, bro?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's when I'm on the platforms that I'm on, of
Mm,
course they'll try to use sound bites. I can't help that, but whenever I'm on the platforms, I have to make sure that stuff is checked and corrected. When I'm there. But as far as like people, using some of the talking points like oh, black people don't need to ask the government for nothing and blah 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 blah. I hear some
mm,
of things, but I can't necessarily help it, if I'm not there to, say anything about it. But whenever I'm on the platforms, whenever I
mm.
speak at these different events, I'm making sure I keep my message pro-black always.
That's dope, man. And I, for one, man, I applaud what you're trying to do, bro.
I appreciate it.
And I wish you all the success in the world. What's next?
Well, right now, we're looking at opening our school next fall. Actually, we were actually supposed to open this fall.
Mm,
Our local school board obviously didn't want that to happen, so we ended up having to push back a year because we were actually trying to purchase a school from our local school system.
mm,
They basically tried to give us pushback and tried to give us a contract for the building that was basically counterproductive to what we were trying to do. The contract stated that we could buy the building, but it had to contain a use restriction that we couldn't operate our own private or charter school unless they taught the curriculum, which is completely
oh wow.
and some more stipulations in the contract as well. And it was disheartening, especially when they were saying it was in good faith. I'm like, how is that in good faith when we're trying to open our own school and then you're gonna come and tell us that we can't if we buy the building from y'all? I'm just like, I've never heard of any, purchase sale agreement, telling somebody what they can and can't do with property that they're purchasing. I could say we're leasing it or renting it, we're purchasing
Exactly.
it. So how are you gonna tell us what we can do? That's like me buying a house and then telling them, well, you guys can't sleep here unless we sleep too. Like that makes no sense.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we backed out of the deal with them. I was not about to sell my kids out. I could have. It would have been a nice money grab. They were going to pay all the teachers, etc. I could have been still raking in donations and everything, but that's not what it was about. They did a full smear campaign against me in my hometown, which is totally fine. I didn't mind it at all because now we have bigger and better things. We purchased 3 buildings now, and we're in the process of renovating them to turn into a school for our boys. So I had a ram in the bush, and we're gonna keep moving.
So do you already have a curriculum in place, that you ready to go, or are you still working on that?
We're working on a full curriculum with former teachers and superintendents from around the country to kind of help us get this thing, together to a point where it's basically what I, want our boys to learn, as well as my circle of elders, and what we feel like is going to best serve the students in the city of Albany. I feel like a curriculum should be ever evolving
Mm,
because, the times evolve. I don't see how we still using the same curriculum from 1999 or 2005 when the times have evolved. The curriculum needs to develop as the children develop. So I do believe a curriculum should be ever evolving, and curriculum shouldn't be the same for so many different districts or states because the students may need something different. Like the kids in Albany may need something different than the kids in Atlanta, or the kids in Detroit may need something different from the kids in Chicago.
mm.
So I think that plays a part in our curriculum as well. So it'll definitely be ever evolving, but we always have counsel that we seek in a whole multitude of teachers and superintendents and former principals, et cetera, that are helping us get our curriculum together.
Ask the kids too. I would.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to live there on campus?
Yep. So we'll have 2 different campuses for them. We'll have a boarding portion, then we'll have the school. So we'll have the school for them to come school at, and then we'll have a boarding portion, mainly for zoning requirements, because the place we bought is zoned for school. However, if we try to board them there, then we have to jump through a whole nother hoop trying to figure out how we get it zoned for them to be able to stay there. So we get a separate location for them to stay at. We can just bus them to school every day, which is about 7 minutes.
Okay. All right. And as far as your political I'm sorry, I was getting ready to ask you if you had political aspirations.
No, I don't
Um,
feel like I can make
really?
bigger change just doing what I do. I used to when I was back in high school and things like that, but
Okay, bro, that was like 20 minutes ago. Stop it. Stop
yeah, but after I got out of high school and actually started affecting change, I've been doing more than the politicians. Just doing this for the past 3 years. So I feel like I can affect more change, doing what I do versus being in politics. Sure, we can help, push maybe some candidates who may be interested in helping, our community and things like that. But I feel like our communities are really going to change if the people in the community do so.
Now, when you say you're a conservative, what exactly does that mean?
I mean the same thing. I mean, with my granddad to say the same thing, or your granddad, or anybody else's granddad. I believe in conservative family. I believe in our family structure. I believe in a man being a man and a woman being a woman. I believe only women can have children, along that line
Mhm.
of things. But I believe in conserving our family values. I feel like our family values have completely went down the toilet, which is why our family structure is so out of whack right now. I do believe fathers need to be in the homes because every time I say that, sometimes people have to want to argue with me about why single moms have a great time or a great way of raising boys when statistics show otherwise or conditions of our community show otherwise. So yeah, that's kind of what I mean by being conservative. It's not like, oh, I'm a Republican or I support Donald Trump or things like that. It just simply means, I believe in conserving our family structure, etc. That we had back in the day when our statistics were doing better. We've done worse ever since we've had the right to vote. Our statistics have went down. So our family structures have went out the window. But it was all done strategically and on purpose, including with the crack epidemic, etc. Um,
That's true.
so all those things were done on purpose. So I believe in conserving our old way of life because that's when
Mhm.
we're thriving. Sure, people will come up with 1,000 reasons as to why our families may not have been good or something like that. But I'm like, well, I'm seeing old marriages back then, lasting, and I'm seeing complete
Yeah,
family.
but yeah, bro, but that I think that we try to put lipstick on a pig with that shit sometimes too.
Hmm.
See, my great grandmother, was like one generation removed from slavery.
Yep. Hmm.
But when she got married, her husband could treat her like absolute shit, and in often cases did.
Hmm.
Like dudes could come home and suplex their wife, and it was shit she could do. She had absolutely no rights.
This is true.
So I think a lot of times what we do is we try to make it seem like because people stayed together longer, it was a marriage out of love. It wasn't. In a lot of cases, like I've seen a lot of shit, and people hide shit in the closets. Black
Hmm.
folks don't like to talk about shit.
Yep.
I think people are just more open and honest, and sometimes that's not a good thing, but sometimes it is.
Hmm.
I think with like you're right, there has been a concerted effort to destroy the black family. That's true. Um, but man, we gotta deal with some of the trauma that men have inflicted on our women over the years too.
Of course, absolutely, definitely didn't say that. But I think majority, because I know we'll hear that side of the spectrum too, but
Mhm.
that's kind of the only side we'll use to defend single moms, and things like that. But that went
Yeah,
out ways. We also had my granddad and my great granddaddy who had beautiful lives and treated their wives beautifully. I mean, and had beautiful families, etc. And grandmama will tell you about it. So we had that happen actually more often than not. But
yeah,
definitely, our women definitely went through a big trauma. But our men, they didn't know how to. I'll say they got taught by their slave masters how to treat their wives. So that's a part of that trauma too. A lot of them
mhm.
got taught. They saw how the slave masters treated their wives. So they thought that was the right thing to do. But women didn't have any rights. But now they do.
That's some real shit right there. And to be quite honest, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. So you gotta think who taught them how to be a husband? The slave
Yeah,
master.
absolutely.
So a lot of that. That's even like how I tell my boys. like who don't have fathers in the home, they get mad at their dad and stuff like that. I'm like, well, did your dad have a dad? Who taught him how to be a daddy? I don't get mad at my dad for not just being in my life or whatever, because he didn't have a father. So I ain't just, super upset because ain't nobody teach him how to be a daddy, So, but that's just, I don't get mad at him for it. I'm like, and honestly, seeing the man that he is, and I love him, I still love him. We talk and stuff like that, but I would never want to be the guy that he is today. I'm glad he didn't raise me. I'm glad he wasn't there. I'm glad my stepdad was there to help me. Like, and my dad will tell you the same thing. He's like, I'm glad you didn't turn out like me. I'm glad, even when I was a kid, he'd be like, man, just don't be like me when you grow up, So it's stuff like that. But we had a lot of trauma to deal with, and I definitely believe therapy and counseling and things like that are important for our community. But we definitely got to have our family structure back. For folks nowadays, our women, are up here in direct opposition to us, is bad. I definitely feel like people saying that fathers, need to be in the homes shouldn't be a problem. Because now every time I say that, it's like folk want to argue every time I say fathers, boys need fathers. I'm like, why is that a bad thing to say? Boys do need their dad. I'm not like somebody told me saying that was discounting the work of single moms. I'm like, nobody's talking about single moms. Boys need fathers. What does that have to do with single motherhood? And they're like, oh, well, I know this one kid who had a single mom who's raised good. I'm like, okay, anecdotal pieces of evidence have nothing to do with the majority. Let's talk about the majority. These boys need their dads. That bears witness in my program. I have a program where over 90% of the kids don't have fathers, and they automatically start developing once I put them around men. It's really simple, and even with the boys wanting to mimic, men that they're around, a lot of those kids will start mimicking, bad men because they only around bad men. Or if they're not around men at all, they start being super feminine. I've had parents come and ask me, Mr. King, I know my son's not gay, but he's real feminine. I'm like, well, mom, who's he around nowadays? He's around you and grandma and auntie and all that all day. Yeah, well, that's why he acts like that. He's gonna act like what he's around. If he's around no men, he's going to act feminine. I dealt with that until my stepdad came into my life because I was only around women. I was around all my girl cousins all day, my grandma, my mama. I was literally around women all day. So the feminine traits I had, like, I didn't know it was wrong or anything. And even the boys that deal with that, they'll tell you, I'm not gay, Mr. King. It's just everybody keep calling me gay, whatever. I'm like, well, son, look at how you take your pictures. Look at how you walking. Look at how you talk. But he's around his mom all day. Around his aunts or girl cousins. So I have to kind of show them. So
that's a tough one. I don't know about that one. Because I kind of grew up under the same circumstances. I get what you're saying though, but I don't know, man. But I will say this generation period is probably the dudes wearing dresses now. You didn't see that all too often. And that's it's like not shocking anymore.
Yeah,
I ain't knocking nobody wearing a dress. Just saying you didn't. That's some shit that I didn't see growing up. To be quite
honest. And I don't even mind stuff like that because I feel like as long as I'm raising my children, off the social media grid or whatever like that, I mean, I think they'll be okay. But I don't have a problem with folk like of that sexual orientation or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. I feel like that's just something you decide to do in the bedroom. I don't need you to come tell me every 5 seconds that this is what you like to do in the bed. That has nothing to do with me. Go do that in the bed. I don't care. And people always ask, well, would you accept, a boy that wants to be a girl at your school? Yeah, because you're going to get manhood training while you're here. That doesn't change my curriculum because you want to be a girl. You're still going to get taught how to be a man at this school. That just is what it is. So sure, he can come. Will you accept gay boys? Yes, come on through. I don't have a problem with that. So I definitely don't have a problem with that. But when people or parents or even the boys come and ask me, they're like, Mr. King, people be calling me gay. I'm not gay. And I have to be like, well, look, just pay attention to your surroundings. Look, you're around a lot of women all day. So look at how you're taking your pictures. Look at these filters that you're using. Look at how you're posing, etc. Like, it's a little bit more feminine, right? So people are going to be more inclined to call you gay, but that's just conversations we got to have, with our boys. But that's like me growing up. Like, I used to put my mom's shoes on and stuff like that, like put her heels on and stuff. But I didn't know like it was just wrong, or not even that it was wrong. It's just I didn't know any better because I was around women all day. But once my stepdad came around, he outside, fixing on cars and building stuff and all of that. That was me. So I wanted to be like him, and that's what I started doing. I started working on cars and building the sheds with him, and we was growing food and stuff. So that like morphed me into kind of like who I am now or whatever, versus when I was with my mom all the time and around my grandma all the time, I was extremely feminine. Not that I was gay, I was just extremely feminine. That's just how it was until my stepdad came in my life. And my granddads, started kind of get a hold to me and my uncles, etc. So they all kind of, molded me into the man I am.
All right. I wasn't wearing mom's shoes though. I never. No, that was a bit much.
I'm just saying
I
that's what happened.
really.
Yeah, I was like 6 or 7 years old, 6, 7, 8. Like my mom wore heels all the time, and that was literally all I.
And so I'm just curious, what your mama say?
She didn't know. Like I didn't do it in front of her or whatever like that. It was just like I would just put them on or something like that because I used to see her wear them or whatever like that. But I didn't know like I was gay and I just didn't know. I didn't know it was wrong with them. But that's all I saw all day. My grandma wearing heels, mom was wearing heels, so I just go put her shoes on. But that's all I was around. So.
Oh wow, that's a unique way to look at it. I'll say that. If anybody wants to donate, how do they do that?
You go to the xforboys.org. That's THE, the letter X, FORBOYS.org. You can go there to donate. You can go there and see all of our pictures of the things I've taught the boys, field trips, our videos, ways to come volunteer, you name it. All of it's on the xforboys.org. And also my social media tags are there as well.
Okay. And you said you just turned 22, right?
Yes, sir. Just turned 22, July 26th.
Wow, what you do for your birthday? And let me just for some people out there, like I'm not super like we just have a conversation and I'm just nosy.
No worries. But not for my birthday. Every
Mhm.
year I graduate my boys from the summer camp on my birthday. So
Mhm.
this year my boys graduated from the summer camp. I gave out all their awards for the things they earned this summer. I had 36 kids this summer
Mhm.
boarded.
Mhm.
And we had a blast. We did field trips, we did welding, we did swimming classes. It was like we had a blast. They learned so much this past summer, and I was so proud of them. It was definitely a little tough time, dealing with 36 children for two
Yeah.
months, and boarding them, feeding them every day, etc. So it was a little tough, but I enjoyed it and I love what I do. So that's what I did for my birthday. Every year for the past 3 years, I graduated my boys from the summer camp.
36 kids for 2 months though.
Yes, sir. 36
Was
boys.
there something in your life that said, that was there like a lightning bolt moment where you know what, this is what I want to do, this is my path.
Yeah, absolutely. So where I live in Albany, Georgia, we're number one for poverty in the state of Georgia,
Hmm.
and we have so many killings and murders where I live, and it's amongst children and boys. We have children being killed and other children committing these crimes. We have a lot of teenagers getting killed. We had a 9-year-old killed last month. It's a lot of
Wow.
tragic murders happening in the city. And every time somebody dies, we have these stop the violence meetings in Albany, and everybody want to come and be intellectual and talk about what the solutions are, and then nobody's actually implementing anything. Nobody's actually doing anything. So I had a huge issue with that. So one year, I decided to do a field trip with 20 boys from the neighborhood. I didn't care who they was. I was just like, let's do a field trip. I'm gonna take them to the African American History Museum and the Center for Civil and Human Rights. And taking those kids on that field trip, listening to them ask the questions that they were asking, listening to them want to learn more, listening to them not want to be in their condition. That's how I knew that's where I wanted to be. That's how I knew they were going to change the city of Albany. City of Albany is going to change with the next generation, with the youth. And I've tried, to work,
Mhm.
with older people, etc. But nobody is going to give the consistency and the dedication and the patience that I want to see with the children. So I had to do it myself. And that's like I told them, it's the only way it's really going to change. People are like, oh, we need more basketball courts. We need this. We need that. I'm like, no, the boys need mindset changing. They need full mindset changing. You
Mhm.
give them a basketball court, they're gonna kill each other at the basketball court. You go do this and that and the third. That's literally all that's gonna happen. They need full mindset changing. They need literal consistency. They need literal discipline. They need routines, etc. Things that granddad taught growing up. They need all of these things, and that's gonna happen when you take them away from their environments, give them a space where they all can develop and grow, and give them a new curriculum, teach them what they need to know. Because even in the school system, our boys are graduating school illiterate. And I don't see why people, are still upset with me at the school system when I'm just like, your children that I'm working with every week are in 12th, 11th, 10th, all the way down to 6th grade and can't read. Why
Mhm.
can't they read and they're going to school every day and pass?
Facts.
Ooh, that is an issue for me. That's another reason why I started our book club that we have. And we have an 86% reading comprehension rate. So our children are coming to the program and they're learning how to read, and not only reading, but they're comprehending what they're reading. So this it's a lot, as to why I started the program 3 years ago when I was 19.
Mhm.
And the program has results. So of course, people are like, oh, he's young, but I have a little experience now with working with these children, and I can kind of say what I feel like they need, and to grow. So as long as they have somebody being consistent with them, they start changing their lives. The moment you take the consistency away, the moment they go back to their environments and start doing things they have no business. So as long as we can literally give them the consistency, give them the love, allow them to make mistakes, give them the discipline,
Mhm.
they start changing their lives.
That's pretty dope, man. What can my generation do? And we talked about it a little bit off air.
Hmm.
Sometimes we can be confrontational with the next generation
Hmm.
or generation after. Um, and I've seen it myself, and sometimes it pisses me off. How can we develop a better relationship with y'all where y'all would actually take some of the wisdom, because
Hmm.
we've been here for a long time for a reason,
Absolutely.
but without being condescending.
I always say, always be willing to give wise counsel. I have a council of elders myself, so I know a lot of people
Mhm.
what he know. I'm just like, I got a whole council of elders that kind of advise all of my decisions most of the time. I don't consider myself an adult till 25. That's when this decision making part of your brain is finished developing. But yeah, so I'm just like, elders. I think a lot of them have the ways they were taught growing up that are supposed
Mhm.
to change. And I have to sometimes tell, elders, I'm just like, well, we've tried these ideas for the past God knows how many years. Allow us to, go in a different direction. We want to listen. We want the wisdom. I do anyway. I love constructive criticism. I want the wisdom. I want to go in a better direction. But I think being in this generation, we should try going this way, along with your wisdom and guidance going this way. But we
Mhm.
can't keep trying that same way that we've been trying for the past 50 years and expecting it to work. That's just where I stand. That's kind of like even with where I stand with voting. Yes, voting is important, but we've been voting since the Civil Rights Act, and our communities have gone this way. So I'm just like, why, why do we keep painting that and pushing that like that is the thing? Let us talk about a new way in which we can try, changing our communities. We didn't say stop voting. We didn't say that it wasn't important. It's
Mhm.
we can try something else, that we can do on our own.
Well,
But it's
what?
a little easier to not do things for yourself. And while I got the energy, to do it, while my back
Mhm.
ain't, I'm going to take the counsel from my elders and, move forward. But I think it's just sometimes hard to allow a young person to move forward, with things. But like I tell them all the time, Fred Hampton was 21. Martin was 20 something when he's got his doctorate. A lot of these heads that was important, they started stuff when they were young, like really young. And Fred Hampton was a force. Like this man was 21 years old. They had to kill him.
Yep.
So and I'm 22. So I'm just like, let we can listen to it sometime. As long as there's a mutual respect there, because I do understand a lot of the kids in my generation are very disrespectful. And if I was y'all age, I wouldn't tell them nothing, and I'd be arguing with them too. So that's just is what it is. So I definitely ain't gonna sit here and act like, oh, we just gonna, go out here and do our thing and don't and act like we just gonna listen to older people. That's not how a lot of kids in my generation work. These kids they're very disrespectful. They don't want to listen. But you have to find those of us who do want to listen in this generation and definitely give wise counsel and don't get discouraged at us either.
I mean, you know what? The way I look at it is I fucked up a lot early
Hmm.
on. I mean, a lot. And I never forgot that. A lot of us forget that.
Right.
We forget that we did the same dumb shit our kids is doing.
Hmm.
And when you look at it from that perspective, I think you understand the freedom required to be young.
Hmm.
And yeah, some of these cats is disrespectful. They really are. But they're just angry, and they don't know what to do with the anger.
Absolutely.
And my generation did my generation was in the best position as black people in the history of this country,
Hmm.
and we dropped the ball. We allowed them to put crack in our communities and fucked it up for y'all. That's just as real as I could be. You know, and my generation as a whole collectively don't want to admit that shit. And so what we start doing is we start projecting the blame onto y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all disrespectful. Where the fuck they come from? Us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't come out the womb like fuck you, nurse.
Right.
No, you know, you gotta learn the language first.
Yeah,
And
you
we
learn.
teach them, yeah, we did them a disservice and want to blame them so we don't have to hold ourselves accountable. You
Right.
know, so I try to when I talk to young people, I try to let them know that's where I'm coming from anyway. But you know, it's a bunch of old niggas. It's not gonna change. So I get why y'all don't want to work with people at sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the fact that you got a council of elders. Like that's something I don't think I've ever heard anyone your age say.
That is important. That is important. I need a virtual spanking every now and then. I need my uncles to call me. I need, some older heads to call me and guide me. They know I'll listen. And even with them calling me, they
Mhm.
know I'm still gonna make my own decisions. But it's always, wise to have that guidance. Because I don't know everything, and that's extremely important to understand as well. I don't know
Mhm.
everything. I ain't every day I get older, I realize I don't know nothing. Because it's so much to find out and so much you don't know. And I think even I tell my boys that same thing. Have people
Mhm.
that you can go to for wise counsel. That's extremely important. That's for people who've been through the ringer before, who've been through, certain things, who maybe even try to do what I try to do before, and can give me counsel in how they may have failed and what they should have done, et cetera. That's how we should be able to help each other,
Mhm.
But we just got to be able to be able to listen to one another and work on one accord. And as long as we got the same end goal, I think we'll be okay.
Like there's actually there's several brothers across the country I know that started their own schools either in the physical or online
Hmm.
and been doing it for a long time. You know,
Hmm.
so, if at all possible, I try to link y'all up and maybe they
Yes,
can help
sir.
y'all along the way. You know, it would be dope in the school to have like a different type of home ec. You know, like
Hmm.
how to run your household type of shit, how to pay your bills, you know,
Absolutely.
how to get your credit together. Cause man, we killing ourselves with the credit shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm damn near 50 and I'm just not really giving a fuck.
Hmm.
Because for years you hear, oh, don't answer the phone. That's so and so. I owe them some money. Your moms will tell you that. Don't answer the door. It's so and so. So you develop that psyche of fucking people over basically,
Right. Hmm.
and you don't realize it. They strangers. You know the government gonna pay them back. Well, you fucking yourself over in the long run.
Right. Or
You
even
know.
putting stuff in your kid's name.
Oh, I would never do no shit like that. I
Hmm.
would just go without, you know. And I tried to do the best I could to teach my daughters the value of their credit score. And,
Hmm.
you know, 'cause, man, oh, and pay your taxes, man. I went through that shit too.
Hmm.
8 years I had to pay the IRS.
Wow.
Yeah, shit was horrible.
Hmm.
I figured, I drop a couple life jewels on you, while you're here, because you could be my damn grandson, damn near. Um, And I always one more thing I always say, when you want to do something, think of the absolute worst case scenario. And if
Hmm.
you're okay with that, that's a good move.
Yep.
You know. Anyway, I'm sorry, man, but I have a tendency to get on the soapbox a little bit when I got
No worries.
a
That's
good listener.
one of my elders quotes. He always says the same thing. What's the worst case scenario? You cool with that? Every time. Hmm.
Yeah. When was the last time one of them called you and said, "Bro, you fucking up"?
Um, Probably back in March, I think it was. Yeah.
Mhm. What happened? What you do?
It,
Or can you say?
say it again.
I said, or can you say?
Yeah. To an extent, I can.
Okay.
Um, it was back in the school system thing, and I was allowing some of the smear campaigns to get to me, and I was wanting to, respond back or whatever in certain ways. Me being 22 and a little fireball, and of course they call like, "Hey, dog, chill out, take that stuff down, man. Let them talk, let them run their mouth," like. Yeah, so I had, and it wasn't as nice as that because I did do a little. I had hit them pretty hard, back. But yeah, I just have to, as time goes on, the less mistakes that I make, you know, because I know before I make a decision, I think about what they would say, and I also call them every time before a major decision. So I try to minimize those mistakes. But yeah, last time I probably got chastised was in March.
Oh man, so I'm not understanding that one. No, why not?
It's I don't know how to explain it because I don't. If you ever notice, I don't respond to any critics or smears or anything. What happens is my local community will thrash me,
Right.
but an international platform. What they're explaining is you don't give low level Negroes no platform. You don't respond to them. You don't mention their name. That's what they're looking for. They want you to say something bad. They want you to give their name some clout, and that's all they're looking for. So when you don't respond to them, they stuck with 30 views. They stuck with 40 views. They stuck with 1 and 2 likes. Versus if I give them my international platform and say, "You stupid, this, that, and the third, you're
Mm-hmm.
wrong, blah, blah, blah," and everybody from all over the world is brought to this little local matter, then blah. But see, people all over the world don't even know I get locally smeared all the time because I don't respond to those idiots. I just let them talk because they cannot outwork me. Out of all the people that do the podcast and the smear campaigns for no reason, when I just mind my business, none of them do any work. And for the people that listen to them, usually where I live, man, people just be waiting on you to fail. And so I kind of realize now, like the different celebrities that we have, you know, had come out of Albany and why,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but me, I won't leave because I love my children there. But I realize now you people get upset, you know, at them leaving and stuff. But then now I've got to a point, I'm like, shoot, I see why they leave because every time somebody here is trying to do something like good, like they ran the other. It was some white people that came to start a charter school, but they ran them out of town. I mean, it's other stuff that has happened. Football players, etc., that have come there, and it's like people all they do is trash people there. You know, anybody who's trying to do something, they get trashed. So I just rolled the punches, man, and I just keep it moving. They cannot outwork me. I'm going to continue working with my children as long as the parents of those children know what I'm about and know what I'm trying to do for their children. You know, I'm cool. So I just let them run their mouth, and I keep attacking them with the work. That's how I attack them. I attack them with pictures of book club. I attack them with pictures of us doing workshops. I attack them with pictures of us doing field trips. I attack them with us doing free breakfast to our community. That's how I attack them back. And just let them keep running their mouths.
Yeah, I'm a lot pettier than that though,
That's understood.
bro.
That's understood.
like it's one thing for me to be, like, but if you directly let me know, hey, you talking shit, I might have to say something back. But that's just,
It's all
I
good.
I get where you're coming from though, man. It's it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's chess, man, and I can get away with saying certain shit because I'm old. I got gray hair, so it's just like he's just old and ornery. You know what I mean? And people kind of allow me certain pass on what I'm gonna say. Because what you gonna beat up an old man? Well, no, you're not. You might get shot. But
Yes, sir.
man, um, is there has there been any criticism where you're like, you know what, that was actually, and I'm not talking about from your circle,
Mm-hmm.
but just from the blogger sphere and all of that, the media, whatever the case is. Has there been any criticism where you thought, you know what, there's some validity to that?
Back when we got into it with the school system,
Hmm.
um, I should have kept it under wraps because we things were moving so quickly with the school system at the time where I didn't have a problem telling people that it was happening. I'm like, yeah, we're doing this deal with the school system. We're about to buy this school from them. We're gonna open this. Like we did news media on it, et
Hmm.
cetera, et cetera. And then it, everything went down. Thank you for my phone. But yeah, everything went down.
Hmm.
And that's kind of where I feel like I messed up or whatever. Everything kind of failed with that, and it wouldn't have maybe been as much heat if I hadn't said anything and just let the deal go through and then said something after the ink was dry. So that's where I learned my lesson.
Hmm.
When we bought our next 3 buildings, I never said a word about it until I signed the papers and the ink was dry. Until I had given the money and I had signed the papers. That's when I finally said, boom, the ink is dry now. We bought our 3 buildings for our school. So yeah, that's something, people say they're like, well, why he talked about it so early? He could have shut up and not said nothing about it. Now he looked like this, that, and the third. So I was like, all right, I'll take that. So Yep. I
That
like.
makes sense too. You
Mhm.
know, sometimes you gotta hide your hand.
Exactly. I got excited, so.
Yeah, it's the first time though, man. You
Absolutely.
know, the first time usually never goes right.
Hey, got some lessons. Got to learn lessons. So I'm grateful for all lessons learned. I believe everything happens in divine order. So it happened, and got to move forward.
Okay, your favorite genre of music: hip hop, R&B, either or.
Oh man, it depends on what day of the week I wake up. I listen to everything. I listen to opera music. I listen to rock, rap, heavy metal. You name it. Like
Hey, you
when,
listen to opera?
yeah.
Who? Who you listening to?
I don't listen to anybody in particular because I'm not like into it like that. But
Uh,
I have an opera playlist that I listen to, and it calm. It's real calming, and I use it to think. Um,
mhm.
but I don't have a particular playlist I listen to. But from heavy metal, I'll listen to what's those guys' names? A band called Saliva, Disturbed. Uh, for hip hop, my favorite artist Travis Scott. I like Jay-Z and Drake. Um, Country music, Luke Bryan, um, Philip Phillips. I mean, rock
God
music.
damn.
Yeah, I listen to some of everything. I love gospel music. I listen to gospel all the time. So it just depends on what day of the week I'm waking up. I'm like, I will listen to this today. So
I would. You know what? And I knew a brother that listened to symphonies.
hmm
Dude was fucking brilliant.
symphonies are important. You don't the strings, the string instruments actually do something to your brain. I can't remember. I did a study on it one time. But
Uh,
symphonies and string instruments actually do something positive to your brain.
I did not know that.
hmm
Although I'm not surprised because a lot of intelligent people listen to classical music.
hmm Yep.
Uh,
So operas and classical music and stuff, Beethoven, all that old junk. That's all me.
Opera is like actually is it's like Italian hip hop.
hmm
Low key, it is. You
I
know,
hmm
that's they singing when they got swag, but they really talking and they telling you a story.
Right, absolutely. And if you pay attention, you actually can hear the lyrics. But most people just hear just like no. Actually, listen. You can hear the lyrics if you.
Yeah, yeah, man. I have not reached that level of zen yet. Yeah.
I actually opera on like Broadway one day, get all dressed up and stuff. I do plan to go to one of those.
Really? I don't know if I would go to an opera. I would like to go to Broadway, but the tickets are too fucking expensive. Like,
Yeah, you got a plan for it.
oh my god, yeah, I had to save a whole year just to go to a fucking show for 3 hours, two
Yep.
hours, whatever.
It's
Um, have you been to the African American Museum in Detroit?
in Detroit.
Yes.
No, I haven't been there. The last time I went to Detroit, well, I went to Savior's Day. That's the last time I was in Detroit.
When did you go to Savior's Day? Was that 2 years ago?
Yep, the last one they had. Yep.
I was there.
Really? I probably saw you.
Yes, yes. Actually, my best friend is a lawyer,
hmm
and he's actually pretty swanky one in Detroit. So we got some tickets.
hmm
So we like 3 rows back from the stage.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty dope flex on his part. But I had never been to one, and the sea of black. Well, I'm from Detroit, so you used to the sea of blackness,
hmm
but the organized
hmm
manner in which they did everything was just fucking beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah,
hmm
it was something that I'll never forget, and I'll always be grateful to him for that shit. That shit was dope.
Yes, sir. It was. I had a blast. I did.
Yeah, but the museum there is phenomenal, and they recreated a slave ship
hmm
with like wooden slaves in
hmm
the ship, and then they have like a narrator. Like when you walk in,
hmm
you can hear them screaming and crying and
hmm
talking to each other. Oh my god, it's one of the most powerful things I've ever witnessed. If you ever
hmm
get a chance to take your kids there, it would be dope for them to go. And
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
can do something to help, let me know.
Yeah, I would love to come to that. Absolutely.
And Deech Land, actually, no, there is not a topic. King Randall is the topic. I'm just looking at some of the comments on YouTube.
Okay, no worries.
Um, and Sugar Booger says a very eclectic taste. That says a lot about you, though. That's it. I'm trying to see how to say. See, I'm too stupid to really say it.
Oh no, don't say that.
You're a very intelligent young man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, with that eclectic taste, that would be one of the indicators. Do you plan on going back to school?
Yes, I do plan on going back to school probably this for spring semester actually.
Mm-hmm.
My bachelor's. I have an associate's degree in culinary arts. I got that out of high school, and I became a professional chef.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go back and get my bachelor's in I'm not sure yet, but I'll be going in spring. I'm actually thinking about doing law school actually.
I can see that. I could actually, and if you're serious about that one, let me know.
Will do. I just gotta find the time for it. I need time to like kind of get everything on my
Hmm.
ducks in a row, so I'll be able to, run my school and take those classes, etc. So,
I mean, well, you know what? You can't practice to them if they can do anything, and they act like you can't.
hmm
Or
absolutely,
preach to them, rather. I'm sorry,
that's true.
but yeah, bro. Like, don't like you're 22, man. Do whatever the fuck your mind can conceptualize at this point.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like it's some shit that looking back, man. I wish I'd have been like, okay, I wish I'd have done X, Y, and Z.
Right, and that's kind of how I live right now. Like I live now. I'm like, man, I don't never want to be one of them 35-year-olds that be like, man, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. I'm trying to get everything done before my back start hurting, before I need to wear a knee brace and all that. I'm trying to go ahead and get it all while I got all the energy. So when I do turn 35, I can chill out and sit down for a second because I, built so much and I don't have to keep working and stuff like that. Because people like my age like to play now and then work later. I'm like, you crazy? I'm finna work now and play later. So and do that backwards.
Okay, so your 35-year-old self, when you look back, what do you think you've accomplished at that point?
Um, I definitely plan to have our school in multiple cities and multiple locations, but also, I plan to have the city of Albany in a new stronghold. I don't want to be the number one for poverty in Albany. I mean, in the state of Georgia anymore. I see
Hmm.
our boys, taking over the city, building businesses, reactivating those railroads. We have an airport. Only one plane leaves out of there. I need at least five planes leaving out of there in 10 years, or if 10 planes. We have no skyscrapers. City is huge. We need skyscrapers there. We need business flowing. We need our downtown area moving. We need the crime rate going down. That's what I really see, happening by the time I turn 35. I can make all that happen without being a politician. If I believe we can have 300 of our boys trained up to be, stand up gentlemen, and we can go take back our city, as a unit, and not just a singular person, but we can do it all together. So that's what I believe I see happening in, 15 years. I'm mainly focused on Albany, Georgia. However, I do want to branch our program out. But, for me, being from Albany, Georgia, and having that city, just be a failure for so many years. Even Dr. King and Malcolm X talked about Albany, Georgia, and how
Hmm.
we've been a failure like for years, and nothing good has ever come out of Albany. I definitely see that changing, and I want me and our boys to be able to have changed that.
Well, I ain't gonna say nothing good has come out of Albany. A lot of good has come out of Albany, or they wouldn't have produced you, bruh.
This is true. Yes, sir.
So shout out to Albany. I don't want them mad at me. Uh, Yo, I know we ain't got too much time, man, so I'm not gonna take much more of your time. I definitely appreciate the conversation. Very informative. And if you need anything, I don't know what I could possibly do, but if I can, let me know. I actually know a couple people. So if there's anything that I could do, just let me know, bro. This
I
is
appreciate it. Yes, sir.
and shout out to your people. I forget their name that I've been corresponding with. Very
Alex.
professional. Yeah, very
Yep.
professional,
Alex is the goat.
prompt. Shout out to you, Alex. Uh,
Yep.
anything you want to say to the people before you get up out of here, man?
Yep, I give the same quote every time I get off the show. It's from our one of our local hometown hero rappers. His name is Cant. He says, "Obstacles are optical illusions. They're not really there. Jump high anyway. Jump high just in case."
That's dope. Shout out to that guy. On that note, man, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, or wherever the hell you hear this. Subscribe to it, share it, tell somebody about it. I'm a dope old dude that talks to a shitload of dope people. Yeah, you have a good one, King. We'll be praying for you. Shout out to you, Sugar Booger. Thank you, and Deechland. That's an interesting name, Deechland. Y'all have a good one, and I'll be back at some point in the future, God willing.